Tara. If we haven't met yet,
This meeting
I
is being
am
recorded.
an executive director here, and I've been here since day one. So I'm excited to talk to you tonight about getting those people that you've made your list and have been chatting with all week. So we're going to talk about how to get them involved. So once you've shared your Bravenly story with them, it's time to follow up with them and get them involved in some things. Basically, as soon as someone has heard about your Bravenly story, you're going to want to make sure you put them on your follow-up process. And if you don't have one, I encourage you to check with your upline to get a system in place. I use a calendar to keep track so that I can follow up with people 2 days later, 2 weeks later, 2 months later. And I will tell you, do not get discouraged because it takes people an average of 12 to 18 times to hear things before they say yes. So you're going to do something called polite persistence with them. If you don't get the yes that you're looking for, it's okay. It's not like they said no. It could just be no, not right now, and you can put them on a follow-up system. But you're going to make sure that you bring old people new information, and we can talk about that in a little bit and what it looks like. But first, once you've introduced somebody, whether that's sending them a video, throw them in a 3-way chat with your sideline or your sponsor, you are going to want to kind of get a conversation going between them and send them open-ended questions, which is going to allow for that conversation to keep going. And that's going to be a way for you to be able to get to know more about your potential person that you're talking to and maybe help them with some roadblocks that they have. So some questions to ask them could be, do you see yourself doing this with me? What stood out to you? I like to ask this one when I send over like the quick 4-minute video that we have, just to see what is piquing their interest. Are they interested in making an income? Are they interested in our products? It's kind of like digging and finding out their why, which you're going to use their why to kind of like drive their yes. So you could also ask them, like, what questions do you have after watching the video? Are you ready to get started? The best thing to do is just assume the sale after they ask. So once you've asked them, just assume that they're ready to say yes and join you. So you want to make sure that when you're enrolling them, that you get them involved right away. So you're going to want to send them messages, which I could try and pop this in the chat while I talk and see if I can multitask. But you could say something like, hey, Sarah, I'm helping customers put in their orders right now for the week. Did you want me to walk you through that really quick? It's super easy and the product shipped right to your door. So it's sending them the information that they're looking for and assuming they're going to want to say yes and give them their next step. Not giving them, I guess, a way to like back out and say no. Just giving them that more, posturing yourself up to know, okay, I've given them the information. They're going to want to join my team. They're going to say yes, and give them an option to get started right away by like asking them if you can put the order in for them. If they respond, say, great, all I need to do is go to this website, add your products to the cart, then check out. I can call you and help you through it. If you're stuck, I'm right here with you. And then as soon as you get the confirmation, you can follow up with them, remind them of their perks, if they're choosing to go the customer route with you. So if they've found products that they're interested in and want to go for it, that's a great conversation piece to have. It's also, I don't know, I joined from day one, so I don't know if your guys' book is exactly like this, but it's the actual script that's in here. It's a great conversation with people. Obviously, you do not, one tip I do want to give you is to make sure you're following up with your customers to help with customer retention, because the last thing you want to do is work really hard to get customers and then you can't keep them. So customer service, following up with them, making sure when they get their products, everything is working well. and they're actually using your products. You would be surprised how many people order and then they literally get their box and it sits unopened on their counter. They forget about them. They don't know how to take them. So I like to track my customers' orders. And the day after they've been delivered, I'll just send them a message to say, hey, I noticed that you received your shipment. Just wanted to check in with you before you start taking them to see if you have any questions. Do you need help kind of establishing a routine to know when to take what? And I share with them my routine so they can get some ideas. And then about a week later, I follow up with them just to say, hey, how's your routine going? Is there anything you need to change? What's working for you? What's not working? And just to kind of like work with them because they might be struggling with something. I had a customer who took Rush super early in the morning and it was upsetting her stomach. So I kind of had made some recommendations to her to tweak it, and it ended up working just fine for her. And we avoided the issue. And by doing this, to follow up with your customers, to troubleshoot with them right away, you're going to retain your customers. And you're also giving them kind of like that customer, I don't like to say like customer service aspect, but like you're not just selling them and moving on to the next person and forgetting about them. Like you're continuing to build that relationship with them. And, you know, maybe they bought Rush and you could recommend Brew down the line and start adding on to the regimen that they take. Now, not everybody you follow up with says, yes, I'm ready to place my order. Yes, I'm ready to join your team. So you have to be prepared for those objections from people. So some things that you could do, like a very common one that comes up with me is I can't afford it. So I try to be understanding and just say, you know what, I understand that. Have you ever considered doing this with me to make money? So you're presenting the business aspect to them instead of just saying, oh, okay, no, sorry, you can't afford it, and then leaving it from there. You're opening the door to them for an income possibility. And maybe what you have is what they've been looking for to help with their income that they're needing to make more. A lot of people like to say, I'll let you know. That's the biggest one. And 99% of the time, they will not let you know. These are the ones who like to brush you off. These are the ones who may like to ghost you, who don't want to give you a solid yes or a solid no. And I don't know how many of you were just on the recognition Zoom with Aspen, but Glenn Rollins just hit EVP last month. And this is my favorite quote from him. I'm going to keep asking you until you block me or you die. So that's kind of where your positive persistence comes in, where they say no right away. Just continue building that relationship with them. Make sure you put them in the breakthrough group because they're going to start seeing that come across their feed. They're going to start seeing your posts as long as you're posting consistently in your stories, and things are going to start clicking. I know like there's a lot of people who are in the industry who sell different things. And I've purchased things from these other people because they're consistent and I'm constantly seeing what they have to offer. And it finally clicks up here. Oh, she's been doing this. She's been using this. She's having really good results. Maybe I should try it. So as long as you're being consistent with those people who are on the fence or who say they don't know, eventually their I don't know or their no may turn into a yes. As long as you're being consistent and you're constantly showing them the opportunities that they could have. A lot of people say I need to ask my spouse. You can message back and say, perfect. I'll message you when I'm placing more orders. And that way it gives them time to follow up. And then you can follow up with them. And you can even say, I'll let you know I'm placing my orders. I'll probably place one in the next week or two. And then you can put them on your follow-up list. And in a week or two, you can message them again. Hey, I know last time we chatted, you said you wanted to check with your spouse. I'm getting ready to put in an order. Can I get you Rush or Brew, whatever it is you may have talked to them about? Other people say, no, thank you. Politely, you could just say, no problem. I'll keep you in mind for upcoming specials and then put them on your follow-up list. Just because they say no doesn't mean it's completely no, never talk to me again. They need to see it again, hear it again, or maybe it's just no, not right now. This is my favorite, no response, because I get this a lot. Nobody wants to respond to me and I can see that they've read my message. I like to just follow up and say, hey, I know life is busy. You don't have time to respond to me, but I'm hoping I didn't say something that made you feel like you couldn't respond to me. There's that little Elsa meme where Anna's knocking on the door and it's like, hello, are you there? People are busy. People's kids have their phones and they could open the message and to you, it looks like they read it, but they didn't actually see it. So it is okay to just follow up and politely say, hey, just checking in to make sure you received my message, or hey, haven't heard from you. There's sometimes where if it's been a while and I didn't hear back from them, I'll just send them a message to connect with them. Maybe I saw them post something about their kid's birthday or a trip they went on, and I'll make the connection that way and then start having a conversation with them. And then maybe like 2 or 3 days later, I'll throw the plug in there. Hey, I sent you a message about da da da. And then lead the conversation from there. And either they'll ignore you and then you'll really know, okay, they don't want to talk to me about it. I'll just follow up later. Or they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't see your message. And then you can continue having the conversation with them that way. Sorry, I have my son trying to do sign language at me. No. Another way to overcome potential brand partner objections is something called feel, felt, found. Most people are scared or have some sort of objection. So you're going to hear the lack of money, lack of time, no sales experience. They're not outgoing. They don't know enough people. So it's your job to relate to them and maybe even connect them to someone else in their situation. Like Dana Bennett is really great to go to if you have a single mom that you're talking to, because that's someone she can connect to. I'm a really great person to connect to people who say they're too busy, because no one, I feel like no one else on the planet is as busy as I am, but I still find times to make this work. So it could be just simply connecting them to that person to say, hey, I know how you feel. I once felt like that too, but I found that once I started getting going with this and started learning how to do this, I found ways to fit it into my busy schedule. And then you can go on to just talk about, I wake up a half hour early in the morning just so I can get my post ready, or I spend 5 minutes before I go to bed at night writing up my post so it's ready for the next day. I spend 5 minutes of my lunch break sending messages to potential people. Where there's a will, there's a way. And if people want to be successful at this, they'll find a way to make it work and set their excuses aside. Does anybody have any questions so far? I feel like I just rambled that out very quickly. So, too much talking. So once you get going on the follow-up process, you just need to make sure you organize yourself well, because you will, if you do not organize yourself, you're going to let people slip through the cracks. And then 6 months down the road, you're going to realize, oh yeah, I talked to Sally about that and totally dropped the conversation and forgot to continue it. I'm guilty of doing that. I actually was doing a training with Ashley a couple months ago. And while I was waiting my turn to share, I opened up my messenger and just went through and made a list of people that I had started a conversation with, but never led to a no or putting them on my follow-up list. So I found like 50 new people to go back and have a conversation with and do that polite persistence where I gave them new information. So, I mean, we have so many new products that have come out, because when I first joined, we only had 3 products and it was a while before our next product was introduced. So you guys have great potential to follow up with old people that you've had conversations with and just say, hey, I don't know if you saw, but we just came out with this new Brew Extreme and it does da 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 da. Can I send you a sample? So then you're opening up the door for a conversation with someone who either said no in the past or no, not right, like, no, not right now, follow up with me later, or I'm not interested. Maybe they weren't interested in the rush that you talked to them about, but they're coffee lovers and you've just perked their interest. So I know Chelsea the other night shared a doc that I actually was using before we got on here. There's people who use calendars. There's people who just write things down. Whatever works for you. You can go back in Brave Nation and look, because Ashley Walmer did a training on kind of like how to keep track of your customers. So if none of those work for you or you're not interested in them, you can check with your upline for some ideas and see what they might do. But make sure you put them on that follow-up process of the 2-2-2 method. So 2 days later, 2 months later, 2 days later, 2 weeks later, 2 months later. And that's just going to keep giving them that exposure and keep Bravenly in the back of their minds. So then eventually something might spark and they'll be like, oh yeah, she's been talking about this Bravenly stuff. Or I just followed up with someone today that I hadn't talked to in a while. She's like, yeah, I've been seeing what you're posting and I'm really interested in this rush that you've been talking about. So that's led into a conversation with someone that I started a conversation with like a year and a half ago. Also, remember that your follow-up time is going to vary depending on the objections or the situation. So if you're stuck on that, reach out to your upline and see what they recommend. Three-way chats. I don't know how many times you guys have heard this. Three-way chats are really good to get into because your upline is not emotionally attached. So they could find ways around your objections or give you ideas or help steer the conversation in a direction that you want to go. And then you need to take extra time at the end of the week to get ahead of your follow-up process. So at the end of the week, I kind of like to sit back and reflect on, okay, who have I talked to this week? Who was interested? Who wanted samples? So that I can plan out my week ahead and then figure out who I need to continue having conversations with, who I need to follow up with. An example of a follow-up message, and I'll share these in the Brave Tribe since I can't multitask at the moment. But you could say something like, hey, I know how excited you are to try Rush, Brew Extreme, Gold. I'm getting ready to place more orders and I can throw yours in too really quick. One to a potential brand partner could say, hey, Susie, I know we talked a while ago, but you getting started with me at Bravenly, I just wanted to follow back up and see if you had any other questions. This is exploding and I would love to have you on my team. So kind of just like making them feel valued and like you would love to work with them, because Aspen talks about, sorry, I got sidetracked reading Mickey's chat. Aspen talks about, she shared her story multiple times where I believe it was her neighbor kind of got offended because she never shared the opportunity, and Aspen just made an assumption that she wouldn't want to do this. And then her friend came to her and said, why didn't you ever ask me to do this? So it goes back to don't make assumptions and assume and prejudge that someone doesn't want to do it, because you never know their situation and you never know what they're looking for. You are the vehicle to introduce people to what you have. God has placed people out there who need what you have, and they're just waiting for you to present the option to them. The other thing is just invite to the next event. So Mickey talked about that yesterday. I highly encourage you to hold, my team and I try to do a monthly sip and sample and bi-weekly virtual events to constantly get people in front of Bravenly and giving them an opportunity to come try the products and to learn about the products and to bring friends, and kind of like the old school home parties that other companies used to do. That way, like, I love the in-person events too, because they see your emotion behind it and they see your excitement. Another thing that I thought of for the emotion and excitement is to send voice chats to people, because your excitement goes a lot further than them reading a text message. And I know it can kind of be nerve-wracking and you can kind of be nervous to do that. So feel free to like reach out to your upline and just practice sending some chats. You can write out some scripts and practice reading them before you send them. That way, when you send them, you sound more natural and not like you're reading from a list. That is one thing that I have found, is that the voice chats get more responses and they go further than me just sending typed up messages. Also, referrals. Sometimes people aren't ready for the business. They're not ready for the products. You could just kindly ask, okay, I understand this isn't the right fit for you. Are there people you know who might be interested in doing this? And you never know what you might hear back. That is all I have. And I just wanted to leave you guys with some sales statistics to help you feel better about following up, because I know that you can get down from getting no's from people, but I have to tell you that the no's, you have to get the no's to lead to your yeses, but you have to follow up with people. You aren't just going to get people interested in saying yes on your very first ask. You're not. 2% of sales are made from the first contact, guys. 2%. 48% of salespeople never follow up with the prospect. That's almost 50% of people never follow up after the first contact. 25% of salespeople make the second contact and then they stop. 12% only make 3 contacts. 3% of the sales are only made on the second contact. And then, guys, by the 5th to 12th contact, 80% of sales are made. So that is just my reminder to you that in the moment of getting all of those no's, you could get down and feel frustrated and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Nobody wants what I have to offer. Nobody's interested. This isn't working. That's when you need to do a mind shift change, posture up, and just push through it and say, I need the no's to get to my yeses. I need the no's to get to my yeses. Plant those seeds, and eventually they will pop, they will flourish, as long as you are watering them, following up with people, having new conversations. I cannot stress that enough, to have new conversations. It is harder to get going once you stop than just keep the momentum going and keep the conversations going. So you should constantly have new people on your list all of the time. I know on Monday we worked on making that list of all people that we knew who we could have the conversation from, and you should constantly be adding to that every single day. So that is all I have, unless anyone has any other questions. Hopefully I have given you some ideas and good things to go forward with to figure out how to get the people you're talking to involved and having genuine conversations. And if that's nothing, no questions, I hope you guys have a good night. See you later.